have invented the world I see. I have invented the world I see. I am not the victim of the world I see, because I have invented the world I see. 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 Well, thank you all so much for joining me today here on Lesson 32 in A Course in Miracles. We're reading from the Foundation for Inner Peace version this year. Ready for Lesson 32 for Saturday, February the 1st of 2025. We've been a month through it. We're 1/12 of the way through, huh? I have invented the world I see. Today we are continuing to develop the theme of cause and effect. You are not the victim of the world you see because you invented it. You can give it up as easily as you made it up. You will see it or not see it as you wish. While you want it, you will see it. When you no longer want it, it will not be there for you to see. The idea for today, like the preceding ones, applies to your inner and outer worlds, which are actually the same. However, since you see them as different, the practice periods for today will again include two phases. One involving the world you see outside you, and the other the world you see in your mind. In today's exercises, try to introduce the thought that both are in your own imagination. Your inner world and your outer world are both in your own imagination. Again, we will begin the practice periods for the morning and the evening by repeating the idea for today 2 or 3 times while looking around at the world you see as outside yourself. Then close your eyes and look around your inner world. You know how you look around the outer world and you see, well, there's some bamboo, and there's fence post, and there's tree, and there's a dog laying there. You know, all the things that I see outside myself, I'm just looking around. He wants you to do the same thing as best you can, the same way, looking around in the inner world. What's your thoughts? What's the landscape inside? This is truly an inner look. Then close your eyes and look around your inner world. Try to treat them both as equally as possible. Repeat the idea for today unhurriedly, as often as you wish, as you watch the images your imagination presents to your awareness. What kind of images will your imagination present to your awareness when you close your eyes and look around in your inner world? And be sure, he says, to tell yourself as often as you like this idea, I have invented the world I see. For the 2 longer practice periods, 3 to 5 minutes are recommended, with not less than 3 required. So 3 minutes twice today as a minimum. More than 5 can be utilized if you find the exercise restful. Okay, now you 2nd and 3rd year students that have been chomping at the bit that would like to meditate a little longer, I think from the rest of the way through you can meditate or have your practice period as long as you'd like. It's what I'm seeing here. For the 2 longer practice periods, 3 to 5 minutes are recommended, with not less than 3 required. More than 5 can be utilized if you find the exercise restful. To facilitate this, select a time when few distractions are anticipated and when you yourself feel reasonably ready. These exercises are also to be continued during the day as often as possible. The shorter applications consist of repeating the idea slowly as you survey either your inner or outer world. It does not matter which you choose. Either close your eyes and survey your inner world, or leave your eyes open and survey your outer world and tell yourself, I have invented the world I see. I have invented the world I see. You might want to do both. And I would encourage you to aim for once an hour, maybe twice an hour, but throughout the day, tell yourself, try to create kind of a regular interval. But during the day, remind yourself, I've invented the world I see. And look around yourself or inside your mind and see what your imagination's presenting to you, inner or outer. The idea for today should be applied immediately to any situation that may distress you. Apply the idea by telling yourself, I have invented this situation as I see it. So you also, aside from the reminders throughout the day and your 2 longer practice periods that should last at least 3 minutes, can last 5 or even as long as you want. Be sure that throughout the day, if anything comes up that purposely distresses you, that you tell yourself, I have invented this situation as I see it. That should take the wind out of the pain, huh? Put the responsibility back on you to guard your mind and to say, okay, God, I need some help to re-perceive this. I need a miracle. I'm going to practice forgiveness. I'm going to let it go because as much as it seems like it's important to me, it's taking my joy away, and we're learning that we don't need to go through a world without joy. That's our test. That's what we watch on our dashboard of our mind to let us know if we have a problem, if we need some correction, if we need help. Okay, let's go back and look in our text reading, and we'll come back, and hopefully when we get done, we'll be able to do a little 3-minute practice period, maybe longer as we close. The Rewards of God is in chapter 4, The Illusions of the Ego, sections, Roman numeral 6, The Rewards of God. And I don't know if I told you, but for anybody new coming along, I'm Forgiveness Willie, teaching forgiveness from the Ozarks. So thank you all so much for joining me. The Rewards of God. The ego does not recognize the real source of threat. And if you associate yourself with the ego, you do not understand the situation as it is. Only your allegiance to it gives the ego any power over you. I have spoken of the ego as if it were a separate thing, acting on its own. This was necessary to persuade you that you cannot dismiss it lightly, and must realize how much of your thinking is ego-directed. You cannot safely let it go at that, however, or you will regard yourself as necessarily conflicted as long as you are here, or as long as you believe that you are here. Oh, the power of our belief. The ego is nothing more than a part of your belief about yourself. Your other life has continued without interruption and has been and always will be totally unaffected by your attempts to dissociate it. So you're seated in heavenly places with Christ. Where did Paul say that? Is that in Colossians? I don't remember. It just popped in my mind right then. But anyway, that's in the Bible, that we're seated in heavenly places with Christ. Paragraph 2. In learning to escape from illusions, your debt to your brother is something you must never forget. It is the same debt that you owe to me, says Jesus. Okay, and that reminds me of something that Paul said in Romans chapter 13, verse 8, where he said, owe no man anything except to love one another and thus fulfill the law of Christ. So love is what we owe. And he didn't want us to be in debt any other way, according to the Bible. In learning to escape from illusions, your debt to your brother is something you must never forget. It is the same debt that you owe to me. Whenever you act egotistically toward another, you are throwing away the graciousness of your indebtedness and the holy perception it would produce. The term holy can be used here because as you learn how much you are indebted to the whole sonship, which includes me, you come as close to knowledge as perception can. The gap is then so small that knowledge can easily flow across it and obliterate it forever. And that's what we want, knowledge to flow across the little gap that we have between where we believe we are and where we really are, so that knowledge can obliterate that gap forever. Paragraph 3. You have very little trust in me as yet, but it will increase as you turn more and more often to me instead of to your ego for guidance. The results will convince you increasingly that the choice is the only sane one you can make. And I've got a little note on that which says scientific proof, that you can prove to yourself that this is accurate. It says the results will convince you. It says you have very little trust in me as yet, but it will increase as you turn more and more often to me instead of to your ego for guidance. The results will convince you increasingly that this choice, turning to God instead of your ego, is the only sane one you can make. No one who learns from experience that one choice brings peace and joy while another brings chaos and disaster needs additional convincing. Learning through rewards is more effective than learning through pain, because pain is an ego illusion and can never induce more than a temporary effect. The rewards of God, however, are immediately recognized as eternal. Since this recognition is made by you and not the ego, the recognition itself establishes that you and your ego cannot be identical. You may believe that you have already accepted this difference, but you are by no means convinced as yet. The fact that you believe you must escape from the ego shows this, but you cannot escape from the ego by humbling it or controlling it or punishing it. Paragraph 4. The ego and the spirit do not know each other. The separated mind cannot maintain the separation except by dissociating. Having done this, dissociating, it denies all truly natural impulses, not because the ego is a separate thing, but because you want to believe that you are. The ego is a device for maintaining this belief, but it is still only your decision to use the device that enables it to endure. Paragraph 5. How can you teach someone the value of something he has deliberately thrown away? He must have thrown it away because he did not value it. You can only show him how miserable he is without it and slowly bring it nearer so he can learn how his misery lessens as he approaches it. This teaches him to associate his misery with its absence, and the opposite of misery with its presence. It gradually becomes desirable as he changes his mind about its worth. I am teaching you to associate misery with the ego and joy with the spirit. You have taught yourself the opposite. You are still free to choose, but can you really want the rewards of the ego in the presence of the rewards of God? Paragraph 6. My trust in you is greater than yours in me at the moment, but it will not always be that way. Your mission is very simple. You are asked to live as to demonstrate that you are not an ego, and I do not choose God's channels wrongly. The Holy One shares my trust and accepts my atonement decisions because my will is never out of accord with His. Wow, that's where we want to get to, where we can say that too, with the same solidness. My will is never out of accord with His. We'll get there. I have said before, remember Jesus said, the things that I do, you shall do, and greater, because I go to the Father. I forget where He said that either, but it's in the Bible. I have said before that I am in charge of the atonement. This is only because I am complete This is only because I completed my part in it as a man, and can now complete it through others. My chosen channels cannot fail, because I will lend them my strength as long as theirs is wanting. Paragraph 7. I will go with you to the Holy One, and through my perception, he can bridge the little gap. Your gratitude to your brother is the only gift I want. Your gratitude to your brother. Are you feeling that? Are you starting to get a stirring of how grateful you are? Listen, this should motivate you to really want to exercise gratitude towards your brothers and sisters. I go with you to the Holy One, and through my perception, he can bridge the little gap. Your gratitude to your brother is the only gift I want. I will bring it to God for you, knowing that to know your brother is to know God. If you are grateful to your brother, you are grateful to God for what he created. Through your gratitude, you come to know your brother. And one moment of real recognition makes everyone your brother, because each of them is of your Father. Love does not conquer all things, but it does set all things right. Because you are the kingdom of God, I can lead you back to your own creations. You do not recognize them now, but what has been dissociated is still there. I like that where it says, your gratitude to your brother is the only gift I want. I will bring it to God for you, knowing that to know your brother is to know God. How can you say that you love God when you hate your brother? I think wasn't that in James? And that other passage I was saying it was Jesus talking in one of the Gospels. And it's probably in a couple of them, but where he says that the things that I do you shall do, and greater, because I go to the Father. Okay, and the last paragraph, 8. As you come closer to a brother, you approach me. And as you withdraw from him, I become distant to you. Wow, we can use all our brothers and sisters around us. How many ways there are to God just by having gratitude towards our brothers and sisters. Let that be your mission. Let that be your practice. Let that be your sadhana, to love your neighbor as yourself. Truly do it, though. Don't just think it, like I'm going to do that. Do it. Feel it. As you come closer to a brother, you approach me, and as you withdraw from me, I become distant to you, says Jesus. Salvation is a collaborative venture. It cannot be undertaken successfully by those who disengage themselves from the sonship, because they are disengaging themselves from me. God will come to you only as you will give him to your brothers. Learn first of them, and you will be ready to hear God. That is because the function of love is one. Wow. God is one. The function of love is one. Love God by loving your neighbor. Love your neighbor, you're loving God. The function of love is one. Okay, let's see what's going on around the world, and then after we've looked at that, we'll go back and take a look at, and we'll see if we can't do one of our 3 to 5 minute practice periods with my guitar. What else? What is going on today? Abolition of Slavery Day. Today's the day in 1865 that Abraham Lincoln signed the 13th Amendment. CBD Day, cannabidiol. Is that how you pronounce that? Cannabidiol? No wonder they call it CBD. Keeping a little bit for people who maybe ingest cannabis. I've heard that if you take a little too much and you want to bring yourself back down, CBD helps to bring, get you back into the more comfortable zone if you feel like you go a little too far. So having a little CBD around might be a nice thing. It's also had a lot of other good health benefits. Change your password day. Boy, I have a terrible time remembering all my passwords. I hate to change them once I made them, but I guess it's probably a good idea. Dark chocolate day, the Theobroma cacao. And you can grow those in a pot, but I've heard that in some places it's illegal to grow cacao, but they do grow in a pot. You put them outside. Take 3 to 5 years to grow a plant. But check to see if it's something you can do. I understand they grow a lot of them in Hawaii just naturally. Holiday Hugs Day, Hula in the Kula Day. That's also in Hawaii. Imagine yourself in a warm climate doing the hula dance in a cool day. Hula in the Kula Day. Today's a pretty nice day, actually, out here in the Ozarks. International Day of Black Women in the Arts Day. Face and Body Art Day. Lung Leaving Day. That's a nice way of looking. Remember yesterday we said that all things work together for good? Well, Heather Vaughn St. James on this lost a lung on this day. She had to have it removed from cancer, I think. And she just said, well, just another good day, lung leaving day. A nice attitude. We'll always have what we need to do God's work, so never worry about that. Get Up Day. Robinson Crusoe Day. I found that he wrote that book in 1719, Daniel Defoe. But 10 years earlier, a guy named Alexander Selkirk had been stranded on a desert island and was found on this day in 1709. And they think that's probably where Robinson Crusoe got his story. Serpent Day, day to celebrate snakes, and what do they call it? The snake on the medical. That's the sacred symbol of awakening to the consciousness of the spinal cord. Kriya Yoga, it kind of brings about the concept of the Sushumna, the Ida and the Pingala, balancing himself in the Sushumna and bringing the energy up with the breath and going back up and down with the inhale and the exhale breath, and awakening to higher levels of consciousness with the Kundalini. Well, that's kind of the serpent energy is what that's called. The spine. Snakes get around with just their spine. Amazing, huh? If we could be that aware of our spines, we would be amazing what we would know too. And then a presentation of Christ, the day that Jesus was presented in the temple in Eastern Orthodox Church. That's in Luke chapter 2. Did I write that down? I think it's in Luke chapter 2, verse 22 through 40, if I remember right. If you want to read the story. Great story. Imbolic also today, and it's the halfway between winter solstice and spring equinox of the pagans and Wiccan people. They honor Brigid, the goddess of fire and fertility. What else is going on today? Take your child to the library today. World Hijab Day. The little scarves that Islamic women wear, the hijab, if I'm pronouncing it right. And World Aspergillosis Day. And I forgot to look up what that even was. Okay, well, thank you all. And let's take a look at a brown turkey fig out of Edible Landscaping. A Ficus carica. And it says the brown turkey fig does well in large pots and fruits well in northern areas such as Long Island, New York. Very good against walls in northern area. Brown fruit with amber flesh, space 8 to 10 foot circles, zone 6 through 9. Okay, and now let's see what I can do about getting this set up. And we are going to take a few minutes, and we're going to do our meditation, one of them. We've got plenty of time. If I can keep things from blowing here. Got some, let's see what we can do now. And our word for peace is from the Ethiopian people, and it's Salammata. Salammata be with you. So let's do one of our 3 to 5 minute practice periods as I play my guitar and you kind of think about what to do. I have invented the world I see. Look around you. I have invented the world I see. Now close your eyes. And look around. I have invented the world I see. I I have invented the world I see. The idea for today begins to describe the conditions that prevail in the other way of seeing. Peace of mind is clearly an internal matter. It must begin with your own thoughts. How about we find the right page here? You guys keep your eyes closed and do your meditation. I clicked on the wrong page, and I was doing lesson 34. I have invented the world I see. I have invented the world I see. Today we are continuing to develop the theme of cause and effect. You are not the victim of the world you see because you invented it. You can give it up as easily as you made it up. You will see it or not see it as you wish. While you want it, you will see it. When you no longer want it, will not be there for you to see. The idea for today, like the preceding ones, applies to your inner and outer worlds, which are actually the same. However, since you see them as different, the practice spirits for today will be again include two phases. One involving the world you see outside, and the other world you see in your mind. You see in your mind. In today's exercises, try to introduce the thought that both are in your imagination. Again, we will begin the practice periods for the morning and evening by repeating the idea for today 2 or 3 times while looking around the world you see outside yourself, outside yourself. And then close your eyes and look around your inner world. Try to treat them both as equally as possible. Repeat the idea for today unhurriedly as often as you wish. As you watch the images your imagination presents to your awareness. I have invented the world I see. I have invented the world I see. I have invented the world I see inside. I have invented the world I see. And then throughout the day, tell yourself, I have invented the world I see. I have invented the world I see. Okay, and then if anything distresses you during the day, tell yourself, I invented this situation as I see it. And our word for peace, Salammata. Salammata be with you. I have invented the world I see. Salammata.